Hello, everyone. I thought I would read to you what I consider probably to be the most important scene in the Ecstasy and the Ignominy. This is going to be a longer read than usual, so I can get the entire point across. Now, it's not necessarily my favorite passage or scene, but it is the most important. I think that it captures the essence of what the story is about. Well, not all of what it's about, but it does capture one of the major themes in the book. Now, I will say ahead of time that there will be some minor spoilers, so if you're intending on reading the Ecstasy and the Ignominy in the future and you don't want anything to be spoiled, then you may want to stop watching this video now, because it really has nothing to. The spoiler is not in really anything that happens with the plot so much as it has to do with a change in a certain character, in the character of Bertrand Shaw. So if you don't want that to be spoiled, then you should probably stop watching now. But now that I have given you that clarification, I will now read this scene, which I think is very pivotal to understanding the story as a whole. And I will also say that there are several descriptive passages here that I am going to skip over, because if you were reading this, it would be important for you to visualize it. But since I'm just trying to get this scene across, I'm going to skip over some of them so I can get to the essence of what I'm trying to relay and communicate. So here is the scene. And this scene has to do with the characters of Bertrand Shaw, Reverend Hartstone, and Desmond Archer, and how they are in charge of this revolution, and they're executing people. But now some of them are having second thoughts about how to proceed. So that is the context of the passage. Call me squeamish if you wish, but I don't think I can see another man go to the gallows. In fact, it's too much for any sane man to bear. I know I promised blood and vengeance, but in the last few days, I've come to realize that theory, the song of philosopher and cowards, does not always correspond with reality. All my life I've looked into the eyes of men and felt nothing. When one feels nothing, they become nothing, and in such vacuity sundries of sophistic worldviews and ideas will bloom. They will become as thick as ice, forever present in our hearts. It's not the dark we fear, it's being alone with the stars. What are you getting at? Hartstone inquired, his pupils augmenting. I'm getting at the fact that life is absurd, or at least how I've been living it. Why does it matter if we triumph over them or they us? After all, in the end, everything ends up the same. What is it about human flesh that gives it more value or worth than the animals that we devour in our mouths? We are made from stardust, after all, and that's where we will return. Why should we have more significance than the flames that fade with the birth of morning? Is it because we can reason? Reason requires a foundation from which it can bloom, and we have none. We do not live for beauty. We live because nature demands that we must. Truth is as elusive as the soul, and what we call love is nothing more than a shadow draped in human frailty. And when the veil finally deteriorates, even the sun will not remember what was behind it, or why even such a question should be asked at all. We are musical notes that have no harmony, and can only find refuge in the arms of silence. So what? We must live in reality. Even if we are all doomed to death, we can still gain pleasure out of this life while we're still here. That's all of us mere mortals can do. I said, folding my arms. That was Desmond Archer saying that. But now we're back to Bertrand Shaw. But deep in my heart, I cannot help but feel that such a philosophy is incomplete. Of course, we can come up with all sorts of practical reasons for why we should treat each other fairly. What does it mean to be good and to do good? Is it simply providing the maximum amount of pleasure for the greatest number of people? Surely not. When I say good morning to my fellow man, it is not because I view him as a means to an end, but an end in himself. Such a view cannot be justified in a world full of shadow and mist. It can only exist within the transcendent, something that philosophers say is dead, and yet it lives within me, brightening my soul like the sun brightens day, and I am no longer afraid of the light. For how can the sky fear that which makes it glorious? Down there are some passages about the Reverend Heartstone reacting. I'm going to skip over that, but so this is Reverend Heartstone speaking. I am very pleased that you have found God, Mr. Shaw, although it's quite obvious that theology is not your strongest point. It is true that our value is grounded in the transcendent, but revelation must follow. Without revelation, reason cannot exist, and neither can faith. I don't believe in the God that you believe in, Mr. Heartstone, or, at the very least, how you have presented him. If the story is to be believed, God died for the sins of the world. He died because he loved the world, even though the world did not love him back. That is the God I want to believe in, even though my mind tells me that it's a lie. Even so, I will believe in that lie and act as if it's true. Winter does not have to face the darkness alone, as long as it remembers to dream of spring.